Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the Neutral Zone live show, episode 29, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
29th
29.
installment of the Neutral Zone. Obviously, today is going to be, I think it's going to be one of the more fun episodes. We're going to be tier ranking all, 134, 133 teams that are in college football. We might be missing a few. Just grabbed a random tier list online, and it looks like there's like 100 and something teams, so I just went with it. If we're missing your
Yeah,
favorite
yeah,
team, I
yeah.
apologize. But we're going to wait a few minutes for everyone to get in here. No real big news this week out of college football, unless I'm missing something. Um,
Nah,
I
nothing
mean,
pressing.
yeah, nothing huge. I mean, I know there's been some like recruitment and stuff like that, but nothing major like we got kind of previous to the last couple of shows we've been doing. So the off season's kind of settling down. As far as kind of like I said, major news, coaching hires, coaching fires, transfers and stuff like that.
I mean,
I think
Alford went to
the
Ohio
big
State.
I would say the biggest news, and I'm not sure. We might have talked about this already, but it was the Michigan firing Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the last? I
Well,
don't think we talked
Michigan
about
did
it.
not fire Jim
I'm not sorry.
Harbaugh.
I'm sorry, not fire.
Yeah, why you put some respect on that man's
He
name?
he moved up to the Chargers. I don't think we talked about it though. How do you feel about that?
Um, I mean, I'm not mad at it. A Michigan guy who played at Michigan, obviously coached in Michigan, got them a national championship, right? Which I think was his promise, and I'm sure was his goal. So he didn't leave until after that happened. The only thing, I guess, if you say there's a concerning part, is it seems like as the sanctioned people come in the front door, he's kind of dipping out the back door. So if he put Michigan in a position where they're going to be penalized in some way, that might hurt a little bit. But the fact that he's gone, and I think he said that he wanted to win a Super Bowl before he ended his coaching career. So to go to the Chargers, a team with a lot of talent, there's not many of those jobs they're going to open up where one, it's a team with a lot of talent. Normally, teams that are firing their coaches in the NFL are teams that are missing some things. But that Chargers team is probably just missing a really good coach, somebody who can put the pieces together and make all that work. You got a good quarterback, at least in terms of skills, who seems to have the ability to do anything. You got good receivers, just need some health. I mean, maybe a little bit of youth. Eckler's probably a running back that if you bring him back, I just got to figure out the proper way to use him, but he's a multi-skilled running back. I think that's a great situation for any coach to go into because the skill pieces are there. It's just a matter of why did that not mesh? And if that was coaching, can he be the difference?
Yeah,
What's your thoughts?
it's gonna be kind of interesting to see where Michigan goes from here. Not many players have hopped in the portal, which is surprising. I thought they would lose a few more than what's been going on so far, especially with how crazy it's been when coaches leave or get fired or whatever the case may be. So I'm very surprised with that. I do think this team's going to take a bit of a step back. We talked about it earlier in their preview, but I'm kind of very optimistic if you're a Michigan fan to see that none of the players really left after Harbaugh leaving. I know it's a 30-day window, so they could still leave, but you would kind of have thought if they were going to leave, it would have been immediately, not 2 weeks after or 3 weeks after. So optimism there. But just to get right into obviously today's agenda, we're going to be tier ranking. We're going to be tier ranking all of our college football teams. But before we get into that, I just want to say we only have a few different categories, and there's 133 teams. So if your team falls into a specific category, just understand that we only have 7 categories to work with. There's 133 teams. So, Dad, I'm going to let you go first. We're going to kind of fly. We're not going to fly through here, but we obviously have a lot to go through. So we'll do what we did before, where we kind of just go tick for tack, back and forth.
That's fine.
And then just explain why you put that team there and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'm going to start Ohio State, national championship favorite. I just think with what they're bringing back and what they were able to bring out of the portal, it's a tough team. Again, as you see, Ohio State it out. So maybe I'm a bit biased. But I think to me, they have to be the favorite just based off of offseason moves. Now, there's still some pieces. How do we make this all mesh? How do we make Judkins and Henderson mesh? But they're my favorites. But again, I am an Ohio State fan.
Okay. I'm going to go with kind of out of left field pick here. And I'm going to go Hawaii. I'm going to go dumpster fire Hawaii. So I don't like the direction this program's heading. I know Timmy Chang was on the hot seat for whatever reason. Obviously, he coaches at Hawaii. There's not much he can do there. I know they just got a new stadium. They were competitive in a few of their games this year, but just overall in the grand scheme of things, I just don't see a situation where they're going to be very great. I mean, in their conference alone, they're 5-8. I'm sorry, 3-5 in their conference, 5-8 overall. So I think when you're looking at a Power Five conference, if you would say 5-8, I would say that would be a below average. But I think when you're 5-8 in a Group of Five conference, you have to be put at dumpster fire there because you're not even in the top 50% of your own conference, and it's not a Power Five conference. So I'm going to go dumpster fire here for University of Hawaii.
Oh, I'm gonna do this to cause a little controversy, maybe get some people talking, but I'm gonna go 2 down playoff contender Notre Dame. I know they brought over Riley Leonard, but there's still concerns about the wide receiver position and some of the other skill positions. I would not call them a national championship favorite. I wouldn't call them a playoff favorite. Do I think they're a contender to get into the playoffs? Absolutely. I think they may be a fringe playoff team, especially when you include the fact that they're not eligible for an automatic bid due to the fact that they're not in a conference.
Yeah, I like that spot for them. I don't think they're a playoff favorite, but I do think they have the ability to go to the playoffs. I think this year they play against Florida State, if I'm not mistaken. They don't play Clemson this year, they play Florida State. So that should be a really good matchup. Moving on, I'm going to go to playoff favorite here, and I'm going to go Alabama.
Okay.
I think Alabama is a playoff favorite. I wouldn't call them a national championship favorite. I do know that the odds have them like at the top 7 or 8 odds, but I just think there's a lot to go into what this team is going to look like and this program is going to look like without Nick Saban. I do think they're a playoff lock, though. So I do like them here at playoff favorite with Kalen DeBoer and company.
Man, this is tough. I'm gonna go with and you know what? I was gonna do something, but I'm not gonna mess with you. I'm gonna let you do that. I'm gonna go with playoff contender, and that's where I'm also gonna put Michigan. Again, I think Michigan lost a lot. There's a lot of questions. No, playoff contender. Yeah. There's a
I
lot
just
of
have to
questions.
move it up one by one because the screen's so big.
Oh, got you. But if they can get some of those, lost 17 starters, that's a big deal. And again, I'll be the first to say if we were doing this before last season, I would have had them in national championship favorite. But coming into this season, I think they are a playoff contender. I wouldn't call them a favorite. I wouldn't call them a national championship favorite. But I think they are a contender.
Yeah, I like that spot for them as well. Moving
Does this
on,
thing expand if we get like past that line? Does
it does. It does. So I'm going to go national championship favorite here. I'm going to go to my other pick in the Big Ten, and I'm going to go Oregon. As I said before, I think Oregon and Ohio State are the front runners in the Big Ten. I like what Oregon brought back, obviously, in Dylan Gabriel. And they also bring over Dante Moore for the future. Dan Lanning State didn't take the job at Alabama. I just like the direction this program is going. I can't wait to preview the Ohio State-Oregon game. I can't wait to be at that game next year in Eugene. So it's going to be really fun. But I have Oregon as the national championship favorite for my first pick for national championship favorite.
I wish you would pick this team so I can get them off my just to do the obvious ones, because I think at some point we're going to get to some teams where it's a little bit harder and I don't know much about. But to do some of the obvious ones, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go national championship favorite, and I'm going to go Texas. I think Texas deserves to be a national championship favorite. Bring right under Pitt.
Okay, what row?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, there's so many colors on here.
No, I'm with you. Hey, what up, Tweety? So yeah, I think Texas is bringing back a heck of a team. Yes, they're losing Jonathan Brooks. Yes, they're losing Xavier Worthy. But between what they're bringing over, obviously Isaiah Bond, as you guys know, what they're bringing out of the portal and what they're bringing back, I think Texas is going to be one of those teams to look out for.
Okay, I agree. I do think they have one of the best returning rosters in college football, so I do think they're a national championship favorite. I'm going to do Clemson now because I know you keep referring to them. I'm going to go Clemson at playoff contender. I think Clemson has to be here based off of the ACC and getting an automatic bid. So when you look at, I think if we were talking this year, they would have been under a respectable bowl game. But the fact that it's a 12-team playoff now, I only see one other team in the ACC that I'm really concerned about, and that's Florida State. But I think even if you lose to a team like Florida State, there is still a possibility that there could be 2 ACC teams to get in the 12-team playoff. So that's why I'm going to have Clemson at playoff contender. Because I personally feel like Clemson's the favorite in the ACC, and if you win the ACC, you're in the playoff. I don't think Clemson makes it very far in the playoff this year, though. Like I said before, I don't think Kate Klubnik is a championship level quarterback. So although we can make the playoffs, I think we'd get bounced in the first round.
Okay, I'm gonna do this before you do it, but I'm gonna be fair, and I'm gonna go Colorado barely bowl eligible.
Okay, that's where I would have had them.
Why you? Oh my God! Like I think
no. Well, I thought you were gonna put them at respectable bowl game. I think Colorado here is fine. Because I think right around 5 and 6 wins is what I would say that they're.
Yeah, I think that's about where they'll be. I'd love to see them bowl eligible, but I think they'll be fringe bowl eligible this year. As we kind of looked at their schedule, that's about what I suspect for them.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Alrighty, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go respectable bowl game here, and I'm gonna go Boise State. I like Boise State here. They were 8 and 6 last year, 6 and 2 in conference. I don't know. I know at one point Boise State was the head of the Mountain West, and they were winning every year. The playing field kind of leveled out in that conference. So I'm going to go respectable bowl game. I don't think they're going to be a playoff contender. I know a group of 5 gets an automatic lock, and I don't think they're going to be that team. So I'm going to go respectable bowl game for Boise State.
Okay. Again, just to kind of do some of the easy ones to me, let's go ahead and put Georgia in national championship favorite. To me, again, if I had to guess today, and we were doing a guess for the Final Four today, those 4 teams would be my Final Four. Again, I think a lot can change between now and August. But if I had to put my Final Four, and obviously I know we're going to 12, but who I think is going to be in the Final Four, those will be my 4 teams.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do another kind of obvious one here. And I'm going to go playoff favorite, and I'm going to go Florida State.
Okay.
So like I said before, I do personally.
You said playoff favorite, right?
Playoff favorite, yes. I do personally feel like Clemson is going to have a better team than them this year, but I'm going not to be biased here, and I'm going to say playoff favorite for them because I think as of right now the odds have Florida State as the ACC favorite, which would assume that they get an automatic bid. So I'm going to say playoff favorite for Florida State, even though, like I said, I personally don't feel like that, but I feel like the general consensus, I think Florida State is a playoff favorite based on that automatic bid.
Okay, I'm going to go playoff favorite. Let's go playoff favorite Penn State. I think Penn State's going to be better than Michigan this year. Let's go Penn State playoff contender.
Okay.
I think they're going to be fringe, but I think this is still a 10-2, 11-1 team. And I think they're going to be better than Michigan this year. The hard part and this is the only reason I moved them down, because Oregon is a tough team. I don't know their schedule, but I think there's some teams in the Big Ten that are a little bit better than them, even more so than last year.
Gotcha. Alrighty. So with my next pick, I'm going to go playoff favorite. And this might be a tricky one just because we've talked so much about this team, but I'm just not willing to put them in national championship contender. And that is Ole Miss. So I'm going to go Ole Miss playoff favorite. Obviously, Lane Kiffin stayed, just like we said about Dan Lanning, brought in a hell of a transfer portal class, lost Judkins, but brought back Dart as well. I just think this team is going to be really good. I think they're a conference favorite. Even though I have Georgia above them, that's based off of history and what Kirby Smart has done. But I would not be surprised if Ole Miss was, in the national championship game this year. But I'm going to go playoff favorite for them this year.
All right. I'm going to go respectable bowl game, and I'm going to go Iowa. I think Iowa is a tough team. That defense is legit. Yes, they did lose Cooper DeJean, but that defense is legit. They're always going to be legit. The worst I can ever
respectable bowl game, right?
Respectable bowl game, yeah. The worst I can see is this is probably between an 8, 9, 10 win team. But yeah, I think 8, 9, 10 win team. I think they're going to be in a decent bowl game.
So, Tweety, just to kind of respond to what you're saying. So you said y'all don't have Alabama as national championship contenders. DeBoer putting some great pieces in the works. I do agree that he's putting some great pieces together, but I also feel like they lost a lot. When you look at their secondary, they lost 3 or 4 starters. You lose, if I'm not mistaken, both of your running backs. You lose receivers and Isaiah Bond, who, in my opinion, would have been your best receiver coming back. Yeah. You lose people in the recruiting cycle as well. Obviously, Dallas Turner is gone. I just think what you guys lost is too much for me to assume that Alabama is just going to retool and reload and be a national championship favorite. If you guys would have had Saban, a lot of your losses wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be way more. And again, if you remember, I was very high on Alabama against Michigan because of that Saban factor. DeBoer is a hell of a coach, but it's different when you have to play against SEC teams every single week. So I just don't know if he'll be able to reload and retool, like I said, what he's lost in the portal as well as in the recruiting process to beat the likes of a Georgia, who you guys play in the regular season this year, and LSU. If I'm not mistaken, you guys play a Texas. I could be wrong, but I know you guys play LSU, A&M, and Georgia. I think you play Tennessee as well. So I just think that's going to be a lot on the shoulders of a new SEC head coach, as well as a lot of those guys who have no starting experience. Obviously bring back Milroe, who's in my dad's opinion a Heisman favorite. But I just think there's a little bit to be.
And wait a minute, hold on, pause, Tweety. You heard him say I said Jalen Milroe was a Heisman favorite, my Heisman favorite. So don't ever say I didn't give respect and I wasn't unbiased.
Yeah. So I think again, would I be surprised if I think we may pull off a shocker in my opinion. I don't. So again, I was about to say I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama won the national championship because it's Alabama. But I favor the other teams ahead of them as of right now, where it stands now. By week 3, my mind may change.
Yeah, I agree.
You went last, right? You went with Iowa, right?
No, yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna go. Ooh, what do I want to do here? I'm gonna go Utah, and I'm gonna go playoff contender. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go playoff favorite Utah. I'm gonna go playoff favorite because I think they are, in my opinion, the head and shoulders favorite in the Big 12, and the Big 12 gets an automatic bid. And even if the Big 12, even if hypothetically they don't win the Big 12, I think the Big 12 could still get 2 teams. And I think they're one of the 2 best teams at worst in the Big 12. So I think Utah has to be a playoff favorite, which is crazy to think I have them over Penn State, Michigan, and Clemson. But that's just the way college football, the way it lines up with the automatic bids now.
Okay, still just trying to roll through some of the teams that I think are obvious because, like I said, the dumpster fire part is where it gets a little harder. I'm going to go playoff contender Oklahoma.
Okay. I actually like that pick. What's your reasoning, though?
So the hard part is obviously they've lost some pieces. They're moving to the SEC, which is a bit more difficult, obviously. But I think you started to see it all come together last year. My concern is Dylan Gabriel won't be there. I think that is a very big deal. So I think with Dylan Gabriel there, they probably are playoff favorite or national championship favorite to me. But without Dylan Gabriel, I think losing that was a big piece. Losing Dylan Gabriel was a big piece. I think that knocks him down a notch.
I agree. Moving on to the next one. This might be a surprise here. Actually, it may not be. Just they lost a lot, obviously. I'm not sure what this team is going to be, so I'm going to rank them now just so that way I don't have to feel bad later. I'm going to go Oregon State, and I'm going to go respectable bowl game. I don't even know what their schedule looks like. Obviously, they're one of the teams that didn't go to the Big Ten, but I would assume that they're going to be right around this kind of realm because they play, if I'm not mistaken, a bunch of Mountain West teams, and I think they're going to be better than a bunch of Mountain West teams. But I wouldn't say that they're a playoff contender. I think they're going to lose a lot. They're going to take a dramatic drop-off with losing their head coach to Michigan State, losing DJU, losing a lot of guys in the portal as well as the draft. So I'm going to go respectable bowl game for Oregon State.
To stay in that same vein, and I know this might be a little controversial, but I'm going to go respectable bowl game USC.
Wowzers. That is a crazy one. That's not where I would have had them. Why do you say that?
Well, because, again, I think Caleb Williams meant so much to that team. I don't yet think they've done everything to address that defense that they need to do. And that defense was one of the worst groups that we've seen in college football. So the thing that really kept you in games, the receivers and that quarterback, obviously, like I said, Caleb Williams, are gone. So now I have concerns on can Miller Moss, is that his name? Miller Moss?
Miller Moss.
Can he create that same magic that Caleb Williams was able to create in some of those games that they were able to win? They were able to pull out wins when maybe they wouldn't have pulled out a win if Miller Moss was in there. Maybe they can. And maybe if we do this again mid-season, I have them in a different place. But right now, that defense was porous and they're losing pieces on offense. And let me say, if we went back and did this based off of last season, they would have been respectable bowl game because that's really what they ended up as. And they're losing pieces. So I can only put them in the same place.
I agree. I mean, when you put it that way, I can understand your logic there. All right, Bryce just got in here. I was wondering when he was going to get in here. I'm going to go ahead and do his team. So he says, when you get to Auburn, just think about what was wrong last year and what we brought in. So we had a conversation, actually, me and Bryce.
Okay. What up, Bryce?
Bryce, you see where I put my team, so there's no bias here. I'm going to go Auburn, respectable bowl game. I like Auburn and respectable bowl game. They were 6-7 this year after the bowl. I believe they're not going to be under 6 wins. So I don't think they're going to be barely bowl eligible. I think they're going to be 7-5, 8-4. I think their floor is about 6-6 and their ceiling is about 9-3. So I do think that Auburn is going to be a lot better this year, have one of the best recruiting cycles, one of the best wide receiver recruiting cycles this year as well as last year. But I can't rely heavily on true freshmen. That's the problem. And when you're trying to make all true freshmen offensively outside of your quarterback position be everything, I don't think that's a recipe for success. Now, I don't think they're going to be worse than they were last year. And last year, they were barely bowl eligible. So I'm going to go respectable bowl game for Auburn. I do think this team is on the rise, and I think they're going to be a lot better in the future, especially if they can get one more, top 15 to 20 class. I think they could be a threat to a lot of teams in the SEC.
Okay. I'm going to go playoff contender Miami.
Okay.
Again, we've talked about Cam Ward coming over, keeping their top 2 receivers, keeping their top 2 running backs. That offensive line was young. I think this is going to be a better team. I think they are going to make some noise in the ACC. I think really ACC, to me, and I know you have Florida State as a playoff favorite, I would have moved them down just based off of how much they have to replace. I would, but to me, it's the two-headed race in the ACC is probably Clemson and Miami.
Yeah, I feel like it's a 3-headed race. I think I can't really pick between any of the 3. What's the logic with having FSU, Ole Miss, and Utah above Notre Dame? Okay, so let me give you my logic to that. So as of right now, I think, for one, Utah is the Big 12 favorite. So when you're the favorite in your conference, you're getting an automatic bid if they win. So that's why I have Utah above Clemson and Michigan and Notre Dame and Penn State. And I said that once this video ends, I'm not sure if you can go back now, but I said that when I first ranked Utah. I said it's weird having Utah above them, but at the end of the day, the way the cookie crumbles, Utah's in a conference where I feel as though they're the best team. So I rank them above my own team in Clemson, Michigan, Notre Dame, and Penn State.
I think they have an easier path to the playoffs than Notre Dame. And let's just be real. This is now the time where conference championships are getting automatic bids. This is more than ever the time where Notre Dame not being a conference is going to hurt them because they cannot get an automatic bid.
So I haven't personally looked at Notre Dame's schedule, but the only reason why I have them under playoff contender is because as much as you're going to hate for me to say this, again, I'm not a Notre Dame hater. I know when, Michael Campbell was in here, we were going at him and stuff. I'm not a Notre Dame hater, but Notre Dame is notoriously known for dropping games they shouldn't. So even though we could say that they have a very good schedule, a very easy schedule, a favorable schedule, I'm not willing to say that they're a playoff favorite because we've seen them lose to a Marshall. We see them lose to a Stanford. Obviously, last year, Clemson was down. They lose to a Clemson team. So you say they have the hardest game is Texas A&M. Texas A&M is
USC.
And Texas A&M is definitely a losable game, though. So that's what I'm saying. I think playoff contender is not a bad position to be in because if you're a playoff contender, you're fighting for a playoff spot. So I hope you don't take that as like a disrespect or anything. I wouldn't be comfortable putting them in the likes of Alabama, Ole Miss, Utah. Florida State's kind of a tricky one, but I think Florida State is the favorite right now for the ACC. That's the only reason why I have them up there. So that's where I kind of see them. In this new playoff system, it's going to be hard to make it as
I don't think it's going to be hard. I think it's going to be harder.
Yeah, less room for error. You just did Miami, so it's my turn to go next. So since we're talking about them, Texas A&M, I'm going to go respectable bowl game for Texas A&M. Now, that might be a hot take because I think a lot of people think that they're a playoff contender. I don't think they're a playoff contender, personally. I think they're going to go 8-4, 9-3. And I don't think when you're 8-4, 9-3, that's going to get you into playoff discussions unless the rest of the SEC are 7-5, which I don't see them happening. You have a Georgia, you have Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU, you have Tennessee. There's a lot of teams that I think are going to do better than them. So we'll just have to see. But that's where I have them at respectable bowl game.
Yeah. So next, I'm going to go, and the conference is kind of up in the air. The most to me is the Big 12. I'm going to go Oklahoma State, and I'm going to go. This is tough, but I'm going to go respectable bowl game. The only reason is I think Utah's a better team. But where I wanted to possibly go playoff contender is, to me, that conference is a two-man race, Utah and Oklahoma State. I think, though, that Utah would be the favorite, and that's where Oklahoma State's going to finish, is in a respectable bowl game.
I can see that, but I mean, do you think Oklahoma State's going to be 8-4 or 9-3? Because if
I think they'll be 9. Let's move them up to playoff contender.
Yeah, because I don't
Let's
think
move them to playoff contender.
If you're in a Big 12 title game, you're going to make it to a very good bowl game.
Yeah, and then I guess you're a contender.
Yeah, because if you're finishing in the top 17, that's a playoff contender.
That makes sense.
Okay, moving on. I'm going to go ahead and knock this team out. I don't know why my eyes keep drawing to this team. I'm going to go Arizona, and I'm going to go respectable bowl game. I think they're losing a lot, so I don't think they're going to be a playoff contender in the Big 12. I think they're going to be a little bit over middle of the road, but I don't think they're going to be a playoff contender.
Continuing on, respectable bowl game. Already respectable bowl game. Let's go LSU. LSU lost a lot as well. Really, the big parts of that team. Not to say they may not jump up. There may be some people that come and take the mantle and look great, guys that we just haven't seen. But losing Malik Neighbors, losing Jaden Daniels is a big deal for them.
Alrighty, I'm gonna go dumpster fire here as well. Again, we have to take it into context here, because this team, again, I said this before in the ranking SEC team video. If this team was in the Mountain West, they'd be competing for the Mountain West championship. But that's not the case. They are in the SEC. So I'm going to go Vanderbilt at dumpster fire, even though I feel like Vanderbilt is better than half the teams in the group of 5, if not 90% of them. So because the situation they're in, I don't think they're going to ever be bowl eligible for the next, decade. So I'm going to say dumpster fire just because they've been at the bottom of the conference since as long as I've been watching football, and that hasn't changed. So I'm going to go dumpster fire just because there's not really any progress being made for them. I'm
going to go below average Florida Gators. I looked at that Florida schedule. Now, Mertz is coming back, second row right after FAU. Mertz is coming back. Below average, yes. So I don't think I think this is a 5-win season for them. When you look at the schedule they have one of the toughest schedules in college football. Yes, they have Graham Mertz, but you lost Pearsall, you lost Etienne. So you're bringing back a decent quarterback, but you're losing a bunch of your skill position guys. Didn't bring in a great recruiting class, especially in terms of guys who are going to play this year. Lagway's probably a next year guy. We'll see what McCray looks like, but that's where I would have them. I think this is a 5-win year for them.
I'm going to add another SEC team down to below average, a team that I was not high on at all, and I ended up being correct on them, and that's Arkansas. I think you lose KJ Jefferson and you lose Raheem Sanders. This team, I wanted to put them in dumpster fire, but I'm not going to take it that far. I'm going to go below average just because I think this is going to be another year where they're 4-8, 5-7, 6-6 at the most. I don't see them being anything higher than that.
Okay, I want to go respectable bowl game. And I think we may be getting close to the end of respectable bowl games. But I want to go Kansas.
We only have 8 teams there. There's like 30 bowl games.
Which ones do you call respectable?
I would. Well, okay, fair enough. That's fair.
So I want to go Kansas. Kansas has been making some noise. I liked what they did with both Bean and Daniels. Obviously, Daniels was hurt a good portion of the season. He's coming back. So I think this is a team in the Big 12 that can make some noise. Again, there's some teams I have better than them, but I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled off another 9-win season and we're in a pretty good bowl game.
Okay, I'm going to go with this team next. I'm going to go Army, and I'm going to go barely bowl eligible. This year they were 6-6. I think they're going to be right around that next year. I haven't looked at their schedule, so unless they're playing some crazy, gauntlet, I'm going to go Army at barely bowl eligible. You were going to put them lower, weren't you?
Of course I'm going to put Army lower.
Oh, well,
let me go Navy below average. And yeah, they're probably a 4, 5, 6-win team. So I think they'll be below average.
Okay.
Long story short.
Next team, I'm going to go. I'm gonna go barely bowl eligible. It hurts me to do that, even though I'm not a fan of this team, but I feel like I want to see them do good, and that's Nebraska. Um, I think they're going to be barely bowl eligible this year, but I think they're progressing. Obviously, you bring in Raiola, and then their recruiting class is getting better as well. I think they're on the upward trend, but I just think they're going to be right around 6-6 this year. I haven't looked at their schedule. Obviously, you bring over Washington, USC, UCLA, and Oregon. So I'm assuming they play at least one of those teams, and I'd favor all four of them over Nebraska this year. So I'm going to say Nebraska barely bowl eligible.
All right, I'm going to go respectable bowl game, Tennessee. I think, again, Tennessee fooled me once. We'll see what Nico, and I'm not going to try his last name, what he's about. But I need to see it before I believe it. So we'll see.
Guinea Pig says also, why is USC in respectable bowl game? Their schedule has LSU, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, Washington, Notre Dame, Nebraska.
Guinea Pig,
so you think they should go down?
Higher or lower?
He has to be saying lower. I don't think USC is going to be a 6-win team. I find that hard to believe. Now, could it happen? Yes, but I don't think they're going to be fighting for.
And let's break down this schedule. LSU's probably going to be down this year. Michigan's probably going to be down this year. Washington's probably going to be down this year. Nebraska, they should be better than. UCLA, they should be toe-to-toe with. They out-recruit Maryland.
Okay, so wait. So I'm gonna give you their schedule. So they play LSU. What I would say that's a toss-up game. I mean, I probably favor LSU a little bit. Utah State, I think that's a win. They play Minnesota, I think that's a win. Maryland, I think is a win. Rutgers is a win to me. And then you have Nebraska. So I'll count Nebraska as a win. I mean, that's just me. So I would say 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5, in my opinion, locks as wins. I don't think you're only going to win one of the last 7. I just don't see that happening because it's not like you don't have any talent. So I do think they're going to be a 7-5, 8-4 team. If you want to say that's barely bowl eligible, then that's fine. But I also think they could beat anybody on this schedule any day.
So again, I agree. Guinea Pig, 6. I would say 6 to 7 wins is barely bowl eligible. I think they're going to be about an 8, 9, 10 win team. Again, I think Lincoln Riley's a heck of an offensive coach.
I don't think they win 10 games. I don't think they win 10.
I think Lincoln Riley's a heck of an offensive coach. Maybe Miller Moss looked good in the bowl game. So maybe they fixed some of the issues they had. And I agree. This is Guinea Pig. That was exactly the argument I used to move them to respectable bowl game. Maybe we're wrong there.
Yeah, I can't see them being barely bowl eligible. That's my only thing. Because in my opinion, they have 5 wins off rip. And then you have 7 games that I feel like you could realistically win. So I would say even if you go 3-4 in those games, you're 8-4 at the end of the year. So I think you're going to be 7-5, 8-4, which is still a decent bowl game. I think they were 8-4 or 7-5 heading into the bowl game this year, and they played against Louisville, which was a conference runner-up. So I'm going to say we did fine there. Again, we could be wrong, but we're going obviously tick for tack too. So my dad may put a team somewhere I don't agree. I might put a team where he doesn't agree. But moving on to the next one, I'm going to go respectable bowl game. And I'm going to go North Carolina. Okay. I think North Carolina has to be here. Obviously, you lose Drake May. I don't think the floor is going to fall out from underneath them. I still think they go 7-5, 8-4. The ACC is not very tough. So I think, being right around that 8-4 mark is going to put you in the top 4 or 5 teams in the ACC, which will get you to a good bowl game.
All right. I'm also staying in a respectable bowl game, which I think this is where I get into what does respectable bowl game go? Let me go. I'm actually going to move this down to no, I'm going to keep respectable bowl game. I wish there was something between respectable bowl game and barely bowl eligible, but let me go Kansas State respectable bowl game. This was a good team last year. They obviously were able to operate without Will Howard. Long story short, to keep this short, that's where I got it.
Okay. This one might be a little controversial, but I'm gonna kind of give my explanation. The ACC does not have a clear favorite. So although I'm putting this team in playoff contender, I don't think that this team is gonna win the national championship.
Playoff contender, I gotta hear.
I'm gonna go Louisville playoff contender. The reason why, I think for one, I think they could beat a team like Miami. I think they could beat a team like Florida State, and I think they could beat a team like Clemson. Again, when you look at how the playoff structure is, if you win your conference, you get in automatically. This team was in the conference championship game last year. They didn't lose much, and you lose by 10 points to a team who went undefeated all year. Obviously, Florida State wasn't everything that we thought they were going to be because of injuries and sit-outs and stuff like that. But when you look at that and the fact they're not losing much, I think you have to put them in playoff contender because I think they're a contender in the ACC. And when you're a contender in the ACC and you have a chance to win your conference, you have a chance to get in the playoffs. So I think Louisville has to be there.
Let me address Guinea Pig's comment. So when I said one, that Kansas State survived without Will Howard, what I meant is him not starting. But let's remember that he still started most of the season. He had with the team, he had 2,600 yards passing. The next quarterback, Johnson, had less than 500 yards passing. So yes, he did end the season not as the starter, but again, he threw 24 touchdowns to the backup, or the guy who jumped him. I'll use to his 5 touchdowns. So yes, I agree.
Your pick. I just did Louisville.
All right. Oh man, let me go dumpster fire Eastern Carolina. Trying to get some of these teams off the board that I think are going to be really bad. So long story short, just a bad team.
All right. I'm going to move on as well. Another dumpster fire team. I'm going to go. Who do I want to go with actually for dumpster fire? I'm going to go UMass for dumpster fire. They might not even. Here they are. Dumpster fire, UMass. Don't have much to say about them. We'll go dumpster fire. Hopefully they get better.
Yeah, well, that's nice of you. Let's just, like I said, I'm trying to clear this off. I'm going to go below average. Minnesota. Minnesota was 6-7 this past year. I think they'll be right about 6-7 this year. I don't think there's much reason to believe they're going to make some leap. I think they'll be right there at below average or barely bowl eligible. Actually, I think they'll be below average.
Alrighty, so my next pick, I'm going to go BYU, and I'm going to go below average as well. I think this team still has some work to do in the Big 12. Obviously, Texas and Oklahoma leave, but you bring in Utah, who I would favor them over. I think Colorado is going to be a little bit better than BYU this year, so I think I favor them. I favor Arizona over BYU as well, who you brought over. So I think below average is like the perfect example of what BYU is just in this current time period.
All right, again, just trying to clear out teams. There's a bunch. Let me look and see what we got there. I'm gonna clear out some of the teams I at least know. So let's go Washington State. I'm gonna go Washington State below average. I was back and forth between dumpster fire and I think Cam Ward.
So I have a quick question. So what makes you put them there? Do you think they're going to be worse than Mountain West teams? Because if I'm not mistaken, they play like a bunch of Mountain West teams this year. So do you think they won't be bowl eligible?
They were 5-7 last year. They lost their starting quarterback. Mountain West doesn't have. I mean, yes, they were in the Pac-12 this past year. You think they're going to be?
I'll tell you their schedule. So they play Portland State, Texas Tech, Washington, San Jose State, Oregon State, SDSU, Boise State, Fresno State, Hawaii, Wyoming, Utah State, and New Mexico.
I'll move them up to barely bowl eligible.
I think they'll be right around 5 to 6 wins, 7 wins, just because of how poor their schedule is. But they do have a lot of work to do, obviously, because they're losing a lot.
Yeah.
For this next one, I'm going to go. Ooh, you guys might not like this, but I think they have to be up here. And that's Tulane. I'm going to go playoff contender. A group of 5 team has to get in. There has to be one group of 5 team to get in. I think they're one of the best group of 5 teams in the last 2 to 3 seasons. So do I think they're as good as Clemson or Michigan? No. But the way that college football is set up and the structure they have in the playoffs, Tulane has to be in this discussion because I think they're one of the better group of 5 teams. And I think they have a real shot to get in as that group of 5 lock, the automatic bid.
Okay. Oh, man, we are. Okay, I like what Rutgers did last year. They look much better. I'm going to put them at respectable bowl game. Okay. I think they were 7-6 last year. Shiano seems to have this team moving in the right direction. I think they keep making positive gains to be a better team. So that's where I have them.
All right, moving on. I'm going to go West Virginia, respectable bowl game. They were 9-4 last year. Texas and Oklahoma leave. Realistically, I think this team, they're not going to be competing for the Big 12, but I would expect them to be right around 8 to 9 wins again. And I think 8 to 9 wins gets you to a good bowl game. You're not just, scraping by. So I like West Virginia at the respectable bowl game mark.
Let's keep going. Respectable bowl game. This is going to hurt a little bit, especially to this team, but let's go Washington. Now, again, it's a team that lost a lot.
Edgar, where you at?
They lost starting quarterback, I think 4 receivers, starting running back. A lot of players after coaches left out of the transfer portal, and they're moving to a very good conference. So that's where I'd have them.
Okay, moving on. I'm going to go below average, and I'm going to go SMU. Moving to the ACC, I think they're, taking a bit of a step up in competition. I don't favor them over Clemson, Florida State, Miami, NC State, Louisville, North Carolina. I don't favor them, Duke. I don't favor them over a lot of teams in the ACC. So I don't think they're going to be quite bowl eligible. It's going to take them a few years to kind of get their footing in the ACC.
Let's go below average South Carolina.
That don't hurt me. Go ahead. Oh my!
South Carolina wasn't great this past year. 5-7, losing their starting quarterback. Again, nothing there that makes me think they're going to get better this next year. SEC is going to be only harder this next season when you bring over 2 very good teams in Texas and Oklahoma. So this is where I have them.
Alrighty, I'm going to go barely bowl eligible here. I don't think this is a hot take, but I think it might be an unpopular opinion. I'm going to go TCU. Like I've been saying, obviously Texas and Oklahoma leave, but they were 5-7 this year. I think they may get to 7-5, but I don't anticipate them taking a massive jump up from 5-7 after they lost all that talent, the year prior. So I like them at barely bowl eligible, and I think, like you said, how many respectable bowl games are there? So I'm just going to go ahead and plug them into barely bowl eligible.
I'm going to go, and we haven't done this in a while. I'm going to go, playoff contender. I'm going to go Missouri. Missouri playoff contender.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick at all.
Yeah, and I was back and forth. I will say I was back and forth between playoff contender and playoff favorite. For them, I think playoff contender. I think they're probably still a step behind some of the other teams in the SEC. But I would not be surprised with what they're bringing back. Cook's back. That if they're not in the playoffs next year.
Okay, I'm going to go with this one. I know I put Tulane at playoff contender because of the structure, but I don't. It's more so because I saw 2 years worth of Tulane football, of them competing, beating a USC, competing against an Ole Miss, that I can't move this other team into playoff contender as well just based off of that. I'm going to go respectable bowl game. I'm going to go Liberty. We only saw it for 1 year, so I'm not comfortable.
I just say you've seen it more. When they had what's the quarterback with the Titans? Malik Willis?
Yeah, but they weren't. They weren't 12-1. A New Year's 6. Where is Liberty at? Am I blind?
I seen them earlier.
I was just looking at them a second ago.
This is alphabetical, so you can.
Yeah, I know, but some of them are the or whatever. Respectable bowl game, Liberty. Okay.
All right. So it's
like we're about halfway.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So we gotta start picking it up.
All right. Let's go below average UCF.
Okay. Any reasoning?
I
obviously bring over KJ, but
yeah, I just think that's where this team is. KJ didn't impress me at Arkansas last year, and I think he's going to have probably less talent around him this year.
Already, this one's tough. Respectable bowl game. I'm going to go UTSA. I think they're going to finish on top of their conference. SMU's leaving, so I think they're going to be one of the better teams. Obviously, you still have Tulane here, so I think them and Tulane are going to be fighting for the top. So I'm going to go respectable bowl game.
All right, I'm going to go. Let's go barely bowl eligible. I'm going to go Cal.
Okay.
I think they were 6-7 last year. I see them about there this year, especially in the new conference. I suspect about 7 wins this next season.
Alrighty, I'm going to go barely bowl eligible, and I'm going to go Mississippi State. I think they're going to be right in the middle of the road in the SEC. I don't think they're going to be in a respectable bowl game, but I don't think they're going to have 4 to 5 wins. So I'm going to go 6-6 or so for Mississippi State.
Below average, I'm going to go Arizona State.
And what's your reasoning for that one?
Because I don't think they're very good.
That's crazy. All right, I'm going to go barely This one's tough. I'm gonna go. Oh man, I'm gonna go barely bowl eligible just because if we have so many teams that are respectable, it's gonna get too tight up there. I'm gonna go Texas Tech at barely bowl eligible.
Okay. I'm going to go below average. Let's go with Pitt. Pitt below average. I don't think they're a dumpster fire, but I don't think they're ready to compete for bowl games. This is a 3-9.
Where do you have Pitt?
Below average.
Okay, so Tayin, if that's how you pronounce your name, I think he just found the channel maybe less than a week ago. I was going back and forth with him about Oklahoma. The reason why you're saying what is this list is because Oklahoma's in playoff contender, and you feel like Oklahoma should be at championship favorite. If that's what
there's
you're
no
saying,
way he can feel like there's no way you can feel like they should be a championship contender.
He told me, if I'm not mistaken, if I have the correct guy that we're talking to here, he said that he thinks that there's no way Oklahoma goes less than 10-2 this year, and he thinks that they're going to go 11-1, which to me is absolutely crazy.
I respect that as a fan.
He was actually arguing with JB. Now that I'm remembering right, he was arguing with JB on the SEC video. But basically, we're tier ranking the teams heading into this year. Oklahoma being a playoff contender is solid. If you think they're a national championship favorite, all power to you, my brother. But moving on, I'll go next. I'm going to go below average Old Dominion. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go respectable bowl game Kentucky.
Okay. Just like I said, no, I'm going to go respectable bowl game Wisconsin.
I think that's fair. They're always feel like they're always in a respectable bowl game. It's like their mantra. All right, moving on. I'm going to go Colorado State, and I'm going to go dumpster fire.
Oh, dumpster fire.
Yeah. Colorado State was 5-7 last year. I'll go below average. Below average.
Yeah, go Virginia below average.
I'm surprised. I would have put them at dumpster fire because they are terrible. That is a terrible football team.
I think 3-9. I don't think it's dumpster fire.
3-9 is terrible. I'll go Wake Forest. I'm gonna go dumpster fire before you can do it. I think this team is really bad. Obviously, you lose Sam Hartman, and you showed your hand. The true cards were shown. You were a worse team than Virginia, and Virginia has kind of been the laughing stock of the ACC for the last 5 to 10 years. So I think Wake Forest a dumpster fire. I don't know what they're doing over there, but they kind of got to figure it out.
I'm gonna go Syracuse, barely bowl eligible, 6-7 last year. I don't think Kyle McCord really moves the needle a ridiculous amount, especially when you put much less talent around him. So yeah, that's where I have him.
Alrighty, below average, I'm gonna go Houston. Same thing, kind of like I said with BYU. They're still trying to get their footing in the Big 12. I don't anticipate them. I wouldn't be surprised if. Oh man, here we go.
Like you already, Mr. Manfield, sound like one of my own guys.
Javin, I'm sorry. Let us know how to pronounce it. Just found the channel. Huge Ohio State fan with the BC new coach search. How high would you view the Eagles if they got Bill O'Brien as their head coach? And would that affect OSU at all?
So if he went to Boston College, I think it would because Bill O'Brien was part of the reason that we got Julian Sayin. So the question is, would he take Sayin with him? I don't know. And that'd be wild for Sayin if he did. I don't know how many times you can transfer before a season even starts. But, they say a big part of the reason that we were able to get Sayin is because of Bill O'Brien. So, yeah, that's the real question. Obviously at Ohio State, we have a full quarterback room. I suspect one or two of them will be gone before we start the actual season. If Bill O'Brien left, I think he may try to take Sayin with him. And the real question us Ohio State guys probably need to consider is, would he take other people with him as well?
And again, Javen, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Let us know. Welcome to the channel. If you haven't already, please do us a favor, subscribe. We go live every single Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
My man said ACC is cheeks.
Yeah, I know it's cheeks, but I actually had this conversation with someone. They asked me if I want Clemson to move to the SEC. I'd rather Clemson be in the ACC forever because that's the easier road to the playoff every single year. So I have no problem with saying the ACC is bad. I've been saying that, for the last 5 years, but my team got 2 championships. So, we'll stay over there and make the easy route. But they say work smarter, not harder, baby. So we'll stay right over there. But again, we go live every single Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern to talk college football. Obviously today might run a little bit longer. We normally do like an hour show, but we still have, 50 or 40 teams to go through. But it's really fun. And we also post every single day. So thank you for showing up, supporting us. Really means a lot. But great take. Had my name right the first time. And just thanks, man. So Javin.
Thanks, boss. Appreciate
Javin.
you.
Was it Javin or Javen? I forget.
Yeah, Javin.
If it's Javin, put a 1. If it's Javen, put a 2. All right, so I can pronounce it correctly. You know, if you're in here all the time, I want to make sure I address you correctly. But let's go ahead and do Boston College. I'm going to say Boston College, barely bowl eligible. Last year they were 7-6. I think they're going to be right around there. Okay, Javin, got you. They're going to be right around 7-6 again. I think they're a middle of the road team in the ACC. One of the better defenses, obviously, historically in the ACC with NC State. So I do like Boston College there.
Okay, man, we getting to the nuts and bolts. I want to go barely bowl eligible Maryland. I think Maryland does have a thing going on, but losing and I'm tag you know what I'm talking about.
Tua Tagovailoa.
It's not Tua.
I'm sorry, Talia.
Losing Talia is going to hurt them. He was a mainstay. It seemed like he was there forever. So I think that's going to hurt them. I got them barely bowl eligible.
All right, moving on. I'm going to go barely bowl eligible. Matter of fact, no, I'm not. Let me look at what they did last year before I make my synopsis. I'm going to go, oh my God. I'm going to go below average. Matter of fact, I'm going to go dumpster fire. I'm going to go Indiana dumpster fire.
Man, you moved him down three things.
Well, because I'm thinking you go 1-8 in conference. You don't have much good going for you. 8 or 9 of the games this year are going to be in conference. You add USC, Oregon, UCLA, and Washington, which I think obviously make the conference a lot tougher. I don't anticipate them, being able to rebound off of that and move their way up. They were 3-9 last year. 2 of their 3 wins came out of conference. So I would assume that they're going to be right around that level again, which in my opinion is a dumpster fire when you're the worst team in conference.
All right. I bounce back and forth between respectable bowl game and barely bowl eligible for them, but let's put UCLA in respectable bowl game.
Okay. I mean, I like that. I think they're going to go like 7-5, 8-4.
Yeah. That's where I got.
Could be fair. Moving on, I'm going to go barely bowl eligible. Before I give my take, let me answer Alex. So he said, I think USC will be barely bowl eligible. First year in the Big Ten, tougher style of play in that conference, and they have to travel the most out of any college football team this season. We kind of had a USC, I wouldn't say argument, but like a back and forth debate here for like 5 minutes when we were placing them. So you're right on board with Guinea Pig. He said the same thing. They have a tough schedule. He thinks they should move down as well. I have no problem with it. I kind of like them at respectable bowl game a little bit more, though, just because when we went through their schedule, in my opinion, they have 5 games that are, in my opinion, winnable, including your Nebraska Cornhuskers. No shade thrown at all, just saying. So I think 5 wins there.
Shade. Well, no, one team out of 133 teams you could have used.
And I had Nebraska in barely eligible, so I should move them down to dumpster fire just for you. But moving on, I'm going to go, I lost my train of thought, barely bowl eligible Virginia Tech. I think they are on the rise somewhat. But they still have kind of the next level to take recruiting wise. So I like them at barely bowl eligible, 6-6 or so.
I'm going to go barely bowl eligible UNLV. Although they were 9-5 last year, it's hard for me to put them in a respectable bowl game. I'm sure they will make a bowl. That's where I got. I don't know what this is. Alabama ain't beating us in normal.
He meant to say Alabama's not beating Oklahoma in Norman. I'm saying. I'm not gonna lie. Please take your time on your comments because I don't even know how my mind just unscrambled that. To be honest,
I was like, Alabama ain't beating us.
Here, moving on though. I'm gonna go barely bowl eligible. They had a good year this year, but I don't think they're gonna be in a respectable bowl game, and that's Georgia Tech, barely bowl eligible.
Oh no! I'm sorry. Let's go below average San Diego State.
Okay. Shout out Sterling. I don't know if you're in here, but below average San Diego State. All right, moving on. I'm gonna go barely bowl. Yo, are you good, my guy?
Being us. How did you translate that? How did you read that shit? All right. All right, my bad. All right, I'm back.
I'm gonna go.
What up, JB?
What's good, bro? I'm gonna go below average Stanford. I think they're gonna go like 4-8 this year. Obviously they move over to the ACC, another team that I think are gonna have to find their footing. So I'm gonna go Stanford below average.
Just to kind of keep this train moving, let's go below average Illinois.
Wait, real quick. What's going on, Jerry? We haven't seen you in a while.
What up, Jerry?
We got your Tennessee Volunteers at a respectable bowl game. But
this
go ahead.
Man said I meant to say Norman. Norman is one of the least problems with that sentence. Norman was one of the things I could have translated that. This man, that whole sentence was messed up. And he said, man, I meant to say Norman. Cool. So let me read the sentence from there. I'm going to add Norman. Hold on. Let me find it. Hold on.
It's on the screen, bro.
That man said, Alabama and being us in Norman, I'm saying.
Oh, man. Hey, Tan, you crazy, man. We needed you around here more often, man. You crazy, man.
Why you make me laugh, boy?
JB said, what are we ranking? We're just ranking
tier ranking all the teams.
All the teams heading into this year. Jerry said, what's going on, brother? We both have him in the same place. Man, you got ants in the winter. You got ants in the winter.
Huh? Here go JB, man. Why you put JB comments on the screen, man? You know JB be saying wild shit.
All right. Here we go. Moving on. Let's go Troy, respectable bowl game. I think they're going to have a really good season this year. Then they're going to go 9-3, 10-2. So I think they're going to be well into being bowl eligible.
All right. I'm going to go below average Illinois.
That's probably where I would have them as well. So I'm not going to fight that. All right, moving on. I'm going to go respectable bowl game here just because I feel like they're going to have a good year, and that's NC State. I think NC State's going to go 7-5, 8-4. I think after Louisville, I think NC State's right there with the North Carolinas and stuff like that. So I do like them there.
All right, hold on. I got to see if this team is even on here before I say something about them. All right, I won't mess with them yet. I may have missed them. Let's go below average Purdue.
Okay, below average for Purdue. And we apologize in advance if we're kind of flying by at this point. We're at an hour and we still have like 50 teams to go. I don't see a problem with Oklahoma one more tier above. We're in the same category as Tulane. So let me explain. I think you guys are in the same category as Tulane because you have to put it into context. Tulane has been in, New Year's Six bowl games the last 2 seasons. Tulane, I think they might have missed this year, but Tulane is their conference favorite, and a group of 5 gets an automatic bid. I think of all of the group of 5 teams, Tulane, in my opinion, has to be the favorite to get in the playoffs because there is an automatic bid for group of 5. I don't think Oklahoma is an automatic bid as an SEC title, a SEC title favorite. I would take Georgia, and I would personally take Alabama over Oklahoma, as well as even Ole Miss. So when you look at that, you can't say it's an automatic bid. The only reason why I have Tulane above, and again, I think it's weird having Tulane above USC and LSU and a lot of these other teams.
But because of the situation.
But because of the situation that we're in, if they win their conference, they get an automatic bid. That doesn't mean they're better than LSU. That's just the way the cookie crumbles with how the 12-team playoff is going to shake out. So I think Oklahoma and Tulane is, rightfully so in the same playoff contention status because I think they're both playoff contenders. I don't think Oklahoma is a playoff favorite because I don't even think they're top 3 favorite in their conference. And I don't think the SEC is going to get 5 teams in the playoffs this year. So I think having that playoff contender makes more sense. But did you just do one or did I do one?
I think it's your turn.
I'll just go. All right. Next team I'll go Baylor, barely bowl eligible.
You want me to tell you this is the first time that I was thinking about a team that you picked? Literally this whole thing. All right.
Dang, hold on before we go. Missouri below Ole Miss and Utah. Please share what you're smoking because I'm out. So again, same kind of context, same concept. Utah is the favorite in the Big 12. And I'm the one who put Utah there, so I will speak on it because we're alternating. In my opinion, Utah is the favorite in the Big 12. The Big 12 gets an automatic bid. So because they get an automatic bid, and JB, unless you're telling me that you would take a different team in the Big 12 over them, Utah has to be a playoff favorite because one team in the Big 12 has to get in. So in my opinion, Utah would be my pick. So Utah to me is a playoff favorite. Now, if you look at the SEC, I'm personally taking Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama over Mizzou. So I don't think Mizzou can be a playoff favorite when I have three teams that I would personally choose over them, because I think the max teams are going to get is three. So that's why we have Utah higher, and Ole Miss, I feel like it's just going to be a little bit better of a team. So, but that's why I have Utah higher. The whole concept is if they win their conference, they get an automatic bid. I don't think Missouri's going to win the SEC, or else I would have them in playoff favorite. So you think Oklahoma State will be better than Utah, which is completely fine. That's your opinion.
Yeah, and we so as we had that conversation, we said those are the two teams that we expect to be in the Big 12 championship. One of them win, one of them lose. It could go either way. That's actually why we moved Oklahoma State to playoff contender, but that could go either way.
Yeah. So I won't fight that, but you're picked up.
Let's go Iowa State, and I'm gonna go barely bowl eligible.
Iowa State barely bowl eligible. All right, moving on. I'm going to go. Where do I want to go here? I'm going to go Michigan State, and I'm going to go below average. Now, Will from the ATL, if you're in here, William Bradley, that's his name. I know you're a big Michigan State fan. Obviously, you guys are a bit of a turnover right now. Miz is way better than Ole Miss. They don't even speak English in Mississippi. We won't talk about that. Michigan State, I like Michigan State at below average, but I also think they could be fringe bowl eligible, but I'm going to go below average for Michigan State.
I'm going to go dumpster fire UConn.
Okay, yeah, I won't fight that. I think that is pretty fair. Next team I'm going to go with is who do I want to go with here? I'm going to go Duke, and I'm going to go barely bowl eligible. I think another team is going to be right around 6-6 with obviously the turnover they have there.
The second A is Akron. I'm going to go Akron dumpster fire.
Okay. My next dumpster fire team. Ooh, who do I want to go with here? I'm going to go University of Louisiana Monroe, ULM. I'm going to go them in dumpster fire. Are they? I don't even think they're on here. Am I tripping? Oh, they're right here. I'm going to go dumpster fire for them. Finish in the bottom of the conference in the Sun Belt, so I feel like they have to be on here.
Well, Kent State went 1-11. I got them in dumpster fire.
Kent State, dumpster fire. All right, moving on. I'm going to go – ooh, this one's tough. I'm going to go respectable bowl game. This one might be a hot take just because they did really well this year. They lost their quarterback. I'm going to go James Madison. They obviously had a lot of hype at the end of the year to try to get bowl eligible and all that weird stuff or whatever. So I'm going to go respectable bowl game for them. I think they finished 9-3 or so this year.
I'm going to go barely bowl eligible Bowling Green.
Okay. If Michigan beat Ohio State again, y'all are sorry.
Okay. I respect that, I guess.
Do we think Memphis gives Tulane a run for the AAC title in 2024? It's tough to say. I think Memphis had their time period, their little run when they had that quarterback who was like 6'7". Do they still have him or no? I don't think they do. I don't think they do. But I'm gonna, since we're talking about Memphis, I'm gonna go Memphis at respectable bowl game. They were 10-4 last year after the bowl game, 6-2 in conference. I do think that they can give Tulane a run for their money as far as the conference, but I don't think we've seen enough out of Memphis to say that they'll be a playoff contender, so I'm not going to throw them up there.
I'd be much more concerned with SMU. One, the fact that they are
SMU's in the ACC.
Oh, they moved?
They moved.
Oh, okay. I guess I wouldn't be more concerned with it. Let me go down what teams are left. Hey, I'm just picking now. Is there any team that I really know something? Let's go barely bowl eligible Air Force.
Okay, I'm gonna go USF, and I'm gonna go barely bowl eligible as well. I think we're gonna start to get to the point where obviously a lot of these teams start getting clumped up. But I think this is kind of fits the perfect mold for them.
I go Temple dumpster fire.
Okay. I'm gonna go respectable bowl game here. Do I want to go respectable bowl game? I'm gonna go respectable. Dang, it's kind of tough. I'm gonna go San Jose State barely bowl eligible, even though I think they're gonna finish, up to the top of Cincinnati's right here. It's just black, so you can't see it. I think they're going to finish in the top of Mountain West, but I don't think they're going to be in a great bowl game. So I'm going to go
Oh
barely
shit,
bowl.
that threw me off. Okay, I'm gonna go respectable bowl game, Appalachian State. I think they just seem to always figure out a way to be pretty good.
Okay, I'm going to go here. Who do I want to go with? I'm going to go below average New Mexico State.
I'm gonna go below average Cincinnati.
Okay, Cincinnati below average as well. This is where it gets tough because we're kind of like at the point where a lot of these teams you only watch this, one game of every decade.
Yeah, I don't think let me see. Okay, there's out of all I've seen Northwestern. There's a couple of these teams I've even ever watched.
You know what? I'm gonna go Ball State dumpster fire. They went 4-8 in the MAC this year, so I'm gonna go there.
All right, I'm gonna go. Let's go. I'm gonna go Rice. Barely bowl eligible.
So JB said you don't have Maryland making a bowl game. They are. We have them barely bowl eligible. They're right here. So they're on there. Alrighty, moving on. I'm gonna go respectable bowl game. Miami of Ohio. They were 11-3 this year, 7-1 in conference. Seemed to kind of dominate the MAC this year.
Okay. I'm gonna go below average Central Michigan.
And I'm going to continue with the respectable bowl game. Another team in the MAC that kind of dominated. I'm going to go Toledo.
Okay. Toledo always is pretty good. Let me see what we got. Who we got? Let's go. I'm going to go barely bowl eligible Northern Illinois.
Okay, let's see. What conference is Coastal Carolina in?
Oh my goodness!
Because I feel like Coastal Carolina is one of those teams that, like, I feel like I'm not gonna say is a playoff.
They are
favorite.
in the Sun Belt.
What was their record last year?
8-5.
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna go Coastal Carolina respectable bowl game.
Okay, I'm gonna go ODU with that. The ODU as a player, I coached on them. So put ODU in national championship contender. No, I'm just putting them in barely bowl eligible.
So Tan said Texas at championship. How? Explain. Okay, so again, it's hard. You have to understand. Wait, Tian or Tayan? Let me know how to pronounce it. Same way we did with Javin. I understand you're an Oklahoma fan, so you have disgust for Texas. I don't like Texas either, and I have no rivalry for them. But let's be realistic here. Please be realistic. They just made the playoffs. They lost by 1 score to the national championship runner-ups. And they lose pretty much nothing. And you bring in a great portal class. How can you not say they're not a national championship favorite when they were just in the top 4? And you bring back your starting quarterback. You bring in a top 2 safety, one of the best receivers in the class, a great recruiting class. I don't understand how you can't have them there. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, everything. So Jonathan Brooks obviously was a big part of that, but they played the whole back end of the season without him. They lost Xavier. They lost Xavier Worthy. They bring in Isaiah Bond. It looks like most of their losses they were able to recoup. I think they deserve to be there.
It's pronounced JB.
Because you keep saying, how do you pronounce people's names? Yeah, obviously, Isaiah Bond is going to be nasty.
Dude, John Berger is crazy, man.
That's what we got to start calling him, John Berger.
I'm just going to call him John. All right. Moving on, I'm going to go Texas State. I'm going to go respectable bowl game here. The reason why they went 8-5 this year, they got a great quarterback coming over from Arizona and Jaden Delora.
Yeah.
So I like Texas State this year.
All right, I'm going to go. Let's go dumpster fire UTEP.
Okay, I'm going to go. Ooh, how do I want to do this? I'm going to go below. Do I want to go below average with them? Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna go below average. Sam Houston State.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go barely bowl eligible Northwestern. I got to get my boys Northwestern up out of there.
All right, I'm gonna go La Tech, and I'm gonna go below average.
Okay, all right. Let's go Western Kentucky, barely bowl eligible.
And then I'm gonna go. Who do I want to go with here? I'm gonna go with Middle Tennessee State, below average.
All right, all right. Let's go
Looks like we got about 20 teams left.
FIU below average.
Okay, let's go with. Who do I want to go with here?
Yeah,
let's go Nevada, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go dumpster fire for Nevada.
Let's go dumpster fire for the Buffalo Bulls.
Did y'all put Auburn dumpster fire times 10? I have Auburn. I actually have Auburn at respectable bowl game. I know you're an Alabama fan, but I think Auburn is doing some really good things in the recruiting trail.
Yeah, brought over 2 top receivers.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a lot better. They obviously couldn't throw the ball at all, and they addressed that. But I'm not willing to put them any higher just because you can't really rely on true freshmen. But I think this team's going to be a lot better this year. I have them right now going like 7-5, 8-4. 6-6 is the ceiling. I mean the floor, and then 9-3 is the ceiling for me. But moving on, I'm gonna go Fresno State, respectable bowl game.
I'm gonna go Wyoming, respectable bowl game.
All right, so now we're getting to the nitty gritty here. Southern Miss, we're going dumpster fire. Is this Southern Miss? That's Southern Miss, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Southern Miss.
All right, shit. Let me look. Yeah, no, me too. I hate that we gotta wait. Let's go.
Oh, let's go. You just did it at the same time as I did. That's funny.
Let's go New Mexico Lobos, below average.
Martin, I'm sorry to tell this to you, man, but they are not in respectable bowl game. It's funny. You came here like 45 minutes late. My dad did it way earlier. Let me help y'all out. Oh, yeah, he did that. Hate that we got to wait till September. I agree. Right. But you know what you could do to help buy the time? Show up every Sunday and talk college football with us, man. Help us grow this community. We talk football every single day. And on Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern, we go live. We won't be live next week at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be live after the Super Bowl. So just let y'all know that. All right, moving on. We're going to go Georgia Southern, below average.
Let's go Marshall, below average.
All right, we're going to go Georgia State, barely bowl eligible.
All right, let's see what we got left. Man,
only really, about 12, 13
let's go left. Arkansas State, below average.
All right. We're going to go how do I want to do this? Western Michigan, below average.
This motherfucker trying to get strategic, huh?
I'm just looking.
Let's go. Oh, man. I got to look and see what teams are even left. All right, let's go. South Alabama, barely bowl eligible.
Okay. We're going to go. Who are we missing? That's the thing. Who are we missing?
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to go UAB, below average.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Let's see. Who do we got left? Let's go Jacksonville State. I'm gonna go respectable bowl game.
Jacksonville State. Respectable. Okay. Someone, I thought you meant Jackson State. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, what? All right, we're gonna go Tulsa, below average. Hold on, before you keep going. Barely Northwestern, Nebraska, Maryland, no Michigan State, Minnesota, Indiana, Illinois. So nobody in the Big Ten makes a bowl game or a decent one. What do you mean? There's a lot of Big Ten teams in bowl games. There's Nebraska, there's Maryland, there's
barely bowl eligible means
there's Iowa, USC, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Washington, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan. I would say more teams than not are bowl eligible on our list for Big Ten.
We have the Gatorade National Player of the Year. What are we missing? Who is he talking about?
He's talking about Oklahoma. That's like
I keep forgetting who his team is.
Well, we don't put Oklahoma on.
Who is the
maybe Jackson
Gatorade
Arnold?
National?
That's the only thing I can think of is Jackson
Arnold. He's talking. Okay, I thought he was talking about from this past year. All right, let me see what teams we got left. All right, man, we hurt now. Okay, let's go Ohio. Let's go Ohio in respectable bowl game.
All right, what?
Ohio
respectable bowl game? Yeah, okay. I don't know why. I think there's only so many teams left. I expect them all to be dumpster fire. All right. We're gonna go North Texas on below average.
Oh man, you be going too fast. I don't have enough time to look at. Let's go Eastern Michigan, a place that we've actually been. Let's go below average.
All right. We're gonna go FAU below average.
Man, you be zooming through these. I'm still trying to find teams. And all right, let's go. You got to move that because I can't see what we got left.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's go Tennessee, Utah State below average.
That's crazy. All right. It's crazy.
What?
Who the hell is this C? Chattanooga? That's got to be Chattanooga. Oh, not Charlotte, bro.
That's what I said, Charlotte.
I said Chattanooga. I'm going to go below average.
All right. Let's go the Raging Cajuns below average.
And then I'm going to go below average for the Lobos as well. All right, so that's going to do it for our tier ranking.
I hate that whole state, Tweety.
Where would James Madison go? We have James Madison on here. I have him on respectable bowl game, if I'm not mistaken. Right here, respectable bowl game. If you guys can see it, had a really good year. I know McLeod, if I'm not mistaken, left. The quarterback out of there left. He transferred out, so I think they're going to take a bit of a step back, but I still think they're going to have a good year. Those of you guys who have not already, I know Martin came from the Madden League. If you haven't already, please do me a favor, subscribe. We go live every single Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. But next Sunday, we're going live after the Super Bowl.
I'm actually shocked. We only got 4 teams in championship favorite, national championship favorite.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, don't
and
say
only
that
4 teams in playoff favorite.
Well, we should have 5 based on what Tayan is saying. He thinks there should be a 5th championship favorite. But I mean, I think if I had to say name 4 teams,
I'd move Florida State out. I don't think Florida State's a playoff favorite.
JB said this isn't easy to do. You really have to take their schedules into consideration. Like Florida might win the Big 12, but they would not win the Big 12. I don't know why you keep saying that. He had an argument in the Discord with Guinea Pig about that.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is, and I won't get into whether or not they'll win the Big 12, but it's the same thing we said with Vanderbilt. Conferences matter.
Whoa, right? wait. But they matter. But I compared Vanderbilt to the Mountain West. I think and
all I'm saying is, I think Florida in a different conference. I'm not going to say. I think Florida in the SEC is a 5-win team.
Hold on, Tayan. Sorry to cut you off, Tayan. Please. I don't do this often, bro. I don't do this often, but please do me a favor. You've commented so much in this live show, so we appreciate the engagement first and foremost. But please, we are in February. Season starts in September. I challenge you, Steven to Tayan. I challenge you. Please make sure, be here by the end of the year.
Stand on business.
Stand on it. That's what I need you to do. If y'all are 12-0, I mean to make sure you're here popping your stuff.
When you screaming, I know Cream must be gone.
But that's crazy. But if y'all are 7-5, please don't be one of those people who are not here. That's all I'm gonna say. Please, I want to make sure we don't have many Oklahoma fans on here, so I want to make
No,
sure
I respect it, man. Hey,
represent your team, but don't be that guy because again, I found so many fans of teams. I got an argument with
you still don't. And we said
you did,
hey, we were wrong.
I found so many different Arizona fans and Arkansas fans that I was not right about, but they came rushing back when they were right. But the Arkansas fans were nowhere to be found. TCU didn't make the cut on the tier list. They did. TCU is barely bowl eligible. They're right here. But yes, Jerry, we need to have you here more often. Obviously, you're a big time Tennessee fan. Found you on YouTube not too long ago, or I would say like six to 9 months ago in the Tennessee preview. So we appreciate you for always sticking by. But Tayan, again, we go live every Sunday. We post every single day.
My man said we up there like Notre Dame, Alabama, Ohio State all time. Yeah, no, listen.
All time, yes.
That's a fact. Oklahoma is a blue blood team, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. They got national championships. Again, they normally run off 10-win seasons. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a 10-win team this year. That is a fact. No disrespect to the legacy of Oklahoma. They deserve all the respect in the world. They are a true blue blood program. You cannot tell the story of college football without Oklahoma. That is a fact.
I agree. Oklahoma obviously is one of the most historic programs, but that is in the Big 12. Now, not to rain on the parade, but you're in the you're not the AC, you're in the SEC now, which is going to make it a lot tougher. So I don't think how logically, from a non-biased perspective, and again, I'm even biased towards Oklahoma. If you go watch the Oklahoma preview, I'm biased towards Brent Venables. That means nothing. Then Yale is the greatest college football team of all time. I agree, JB. But if you have to look at the SEC and the landscape of the SEC, there's no way in hell you can tell me that Oklahoma has a higher chance of getting to the playoff than Texas or Georgia or even Alabama for that fact. So there's just no way I can put them up there. So I would love to see Oklahoma in the playoffs. I want Venables to have a crazy successful career in the Big 12 or in the SEC with Oklahoma. But I can't bet on that.
Say this. I'm gonna say this. They start off light. They start off Temple, Houston, Tulane. That Tulane game could be legit, but I expect them to win that. Then you go Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss. They got Maine in there. They play Missouri. They play Alabama. They play LSU. That's a tough stretch. And again, could they win all the? I'd be shocked, especially with a new quarterback. We can say whatever we want to about Jackson Arnold, but he will be playing really for the first time in games that matter, right? I know he played in a bowl game, but again, bowl, if you're not in the playoffs, is a little bit watered down now. These will now be games that matter where they are counting on him.
Ole Miss ain't making out the first round. That could be fair as well. I just think they have a really good team. We're obviously going to do our preseason top 25 when we get closer. We're going to be previewing all these teams. We are running on an hour and a half now, so we're going to go ahead and call it a stream. Like I said, we're going to be going live next week. Obviously, the Super Bowl is next week, so we will not be live at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be live as soon as the Super Bowl ends. So please turn the notification bell on. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so that way you know exactly when we go live. We're probably going to tier rank.
What conference do we have left? Have we done all the major conferences?
Yeah, those are videos. I think what we're going to do is probably tier rank like players or Heisman winners. We'll do something like that. So just kind of be sure to pop in with this, talk football with this. Again, Tayan, if you haven't already, subscribe. I know you love arguing about your Oklahoma Sooners. We need more people around here like that. So we appreciate it. JB is going to be the guy to do it every single time and argue with you. You already had the run-in with him on this SEC video.
JB.
So that's going to be fun. Again, if you haven't already, send this channel to someone else. Get more people here to talk football with us. Guinea Pig said also Utah ain't going to win the Big 12. I mean, we'll see. Time will tell.
But I think they'd have to be the favorite, early favorite.
Time will tell. We can't wait for the new college football season to start. Got a lot to go with this channel, obviously. Keep growing the community and posting content for you guys. It's been super fun. We will see you guys tomorrow at tomorrow's video. We're probably going to do recaps throughout the week.
Wisconsin running backs.
Yeah, he's crazy. Thank you again, Javin, for subscribing and joining the community. Again, we hope to see you back more often. Thank you so much. And thank you guys, all of you guys, for showing up today. Great show as usual. Thank you, Tweety. We will see you guys next Sunday and tomorrow, as well as throughout the remainder of the week.